David Cronenberg has been, without argument, one of the most influential and interesting directors working in the horror genre over the last 4 decades. Classics like The Fly, Videodrome, and Scanners resonated the most with me during my university years when I studied film production and analysis. For a young, susceptible mind, I found the visual punch and striking ideas of those films far more appealing and fascinating than those of his other work. As with multiple aspects in life ranging from politics to taste in the arts, feelings and opinions change. Whereas I was once drawn to sleek black machines that fused with the human body, videotapes being inserted into stomach cavities, and weird things emerging through the TV screen, I'm now far more interested in deeper, more relatable concepts. Rewatches of Cronenberg's other work, stretching from Shivers, The Brood, and Dead Ringers, have brought a newfound appreciation for those great works of art. The Brood only truly embraces Cronenberg's most iconic motif, that of body horror, in its final scenes. Dead Ringers features surgical tools that one might imagine being used on H.R. Giger's Xenomorph, but they are the product of an insane mind and are never really truly used to any visually horrifying effect. It is the idea of their very existence in what is otherwise a normal depiction of reality that Cronenberg played with. Dead Ringers is truly disturbing in its final acts, as we see the bottom of the pit of drug addiction and the horrifying places it can take even intelligent, successful people. Shivers, Cronenberg's ultra-low-budget high-rise horror, perhaps best reveals his strange and unnerving view of sex and eroticism merged with violence and pain. In fact, eroticism is found in almost all of his work. Crash, without doubt, being the clearest and most obvious example of that. Crimes of the Future, his latest movie after an 8-year break, sees him return to the familiar ground covered in his peak period. 2014's Maps to the Stars, a depiction of the mental breakdown of several Hollywood actors, was perhaps most removed from how audiences see Cronenberg. Cosmopolis and A Dangerous Method were not far behind in being a little un-Cronenbergian. Crimes of the Future, a film which shares the same title as a 1970 1-hour 3-minute film made by Cronenberg, follows recent Cronenberg regular Viggo Mortensen and Lea Seydoux as a pair of performance artists who initially it seems are not in a romantic relationship, despite the obvious sexual tension. Mortensen plays Saul, a seemingly deeply sick man who has trouble eating the gloop he attempts to consume every morning, strapped into a bizarre breathing chair, and is so pale his skin appears almost translucent. Caprice, his partner in art, performs surgical operations to remove bizarre new organs that keep growing in Saul's body as part of their stage show using all manner of strange tools. We first see Saul being moved around on a suspended bed. Strange tentacle-like arms protrude from the ceiling, holding up and maneuvering the bed as Saul squirms in discomfort. The bed could easily be an alien from a video game. Prior to this scene, as the film opens after a mysterious inner body credit sequence, we see a young mother and her child living in a desolate place by a beach. An overturned cruise liner sits on its side in the ocean background, gradually polluting the sea. After the boy begins eating a plastic bin, crunching it up and swallowing down whole pieces, the mother murders him with a pillow and leaves the body for the father to find. The sheer banality with which all this happens is perhaps the movie's most striking scene. After cutting to our lead characters, we soon learn that Saul has been developing strange new organs that have no obvious function for some time. He catalogues their shape and details, and Caprice keeps a sketchbook full of bizarre illustrations and diagrams of them. At the aptly titled New Organ Registration Office, Saul and Caprice attempt to register the latest growth with the authorities. One of the clerks, Timlin, played by Kristen Stewart, seems awkward, as if something is quite off with her. Perhaps she has a secret she would like to communicate with the visitors, but she is afraid to speak around her boss. Whippet, played by Don McKellar, rages against the idea of humans evolving before our very eyes, and proclaims great dismay at the depth of art and the dawn of the new age. If Cronenberg is making a point about the emptiness of modern art, he certainly comes back to that point at several points during the film. Indeed, the movie's sets and locations are grimy, barren places of despair. They almost reminded me of London's cavernous but empty Tate Modern Gallery. I have some suspicions that due to budgetary restraints, Cronenberg was quite limited with his locations, as most of the movie takes place in a small part of a city. Caprice declares the removal of the organs has artistic meaning, but she never explains what the meaning might be. How very now, how very new flesh. The father of the deceased plastic-eating boy, a man named Lang, confronts Saul in a back alley following one of his performance art pieces. In that piece, Saul and Caprice use a reformed surgery table with robot-like arms to remove the latest alien-like organ. Lang wants to use the table to perform an autopsy on his son's body, the table being originally designed for that purpose. After speaking with the boy's mother and thinking it over, Saul agrees, curious to see if the boy really represented the next stage in human evolution, and perhaps will reveal the secrets as to his own genetic development. There are visually striking moments along the way, particularly highlighting body art through the use of surgical intervention. Caprice has patterned bumps added to her forehead, making her appear less human. One scene in an underground club has a man, mouths and eyes sewn up and covered in human ear growths, dance athletically to club music. Saul watches on from a dark corner, hunched over and squatting to the ground in a black cape and hood. A woman approaches to inform us and Saul that the ears are non-functioning, and the whole show is an empty lie. While I found Crimes of the Future an entertaining ride through Cronenberg's back catalogue of themes, overall it's an empty and for him formulaic experience. The movie ends fairly abruptly with little to say. There are references from most of his prime films of the past. The surgical tools bringing to mind dead ringers. The pale and human flesh resembling machines have a little existence about them. Saul even acquires a zip cut into his skin for easy access to his abdomen. Videodrome's Max Wren would certainly have approved. It is thought Cronenberg will make one final movie, in production, The Shrouds. I hope his complex relationship and fascination with body horror will make one final experience, albeit with something new to show us.